Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Plus Podcast. Danny here, your guide on this journey to not only improve your English, but also to explore some truly fascinating aspects of life. Now, have you ever had one of those days? You know, the kind where everything seems to be going your way? You got that promotion, your favorite coffee shop finally got your complicated order right, and the sun is shining? Yet somehow, that deep down, genuine smile just isn't there. I remember a few years ago, I achieved what I thought was my big dream. I landed this amazing job, the kind everyone told me I should be striving for. I had the fancy title, the decent paycheck, the whole shebang. And yet, I found myself staring out the window of my corner office, feeling, well, kind of blah. Like a perfectly baked cake that was missing the frosting. I kept thinking, this is it, right? This is what I worked so hard for. So why don't I feel happier? That feeling, that nagging sense that something was missing, even when things looked good on the surface, that's what really got me thinking. What is the thing we call happiness? Is it a constant state of bubbly joy? Is it about achieving milestones? Or is it something else entirely? Why is it so darn elusive sometimes? Well, my friends, today, in honor of International Day of Happiness, we are diving headfirst into this very question. What is happiness? We're going to talk about the science and philosophy of happiness. We're going to embark on a journey to understand what makes us truly happy, exploring the wisdom of ancient philosophers and the fascinating discoveries of modern science. In this episode, we're going to try and answer some of those burning questions. We'll look at what great thinkers throughout history have said about finding fulfillment. Then we'll put on our lab coats and explore what psychology and neuroscience tell us about the science of well-being. We'll even look at some real-life examples, stories of people who found happiness in unexpected places. And by doing that, I'll give you some practical steps you can take to cultivate more joy in your own life. So get ready, my friends. In the next part, we'll be unpacking the main topic, looking at both the philosophical and scientific perspectives on happiness. Then in the next part, we'll get practical with case studies and actionable plans you can implement right away. But that's not all. In the part that comes after that, we'll be focusing on your English, diving into the key vocabulary and phrases we use when talking about happiness, and we'll even work on some speaking and writing techniques. And finally, we'll be tackling some thought-provoking discussion questions. So if you've ever wondered what it truly means to be happy, or if you're looking for ways to boost your own well-being while also boosting your English skills, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in and explore the fascinating world of happiness right here on English Plus Podcast. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds have pondered this very question. Philosophers have dedicated their lives to understanding the nature of happiness, and their ideas are still incredibly relevant today. Think of them as the original happiness gurus. Now let's start with a concept that might sound familiar and perhaps even a little tempting: hedonism. Now, when you hear hedonism, you might think of wild parties and endless indulgence. And while that's part of the popular image, at its core, hedonism is the philosophical belief that pleasure is the ultimate good, and therefore, the pursuit of pleasure is the path to happiness. But think about it. That first sip of your favorite drink on a hot day, the feeling of sunshine on your skin, the laughter shared with loved ones, these all are pleasurable experiences. But here's a question for you. If happiness is simply the sum of all pleasurable moments, does that mean a life filled with fleeting pleasures is a truly happy life? What about those moments that aren't necessarily pleasurable in the short term, but might lead to greater satisfaction later? Like studying hard for an exam or working on a challenging project. Can a life solely focused on immediate gratification lead to lasting happiness? What do you think? Well, feel free to ponder that for a moment, or even share your thoughts in the comments if you're up for it. Now let's shift gears and talk about a different perspective. Eudaimonia. this is a Greek word often translated as flourishing or living well. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle is strongly associated with this idea. For Aristotle, happiness wasn't just about feeling good. It was about living a life of virtue, purpose, and meaning. It's about realizing your full potential as a human being. Think of it like this. A seed has the potential to grow into a mighty oak tree. Eudaimonia, in this analogy, would be the oak tree fully grown and fulfilling its purpose within the ecosystem. Aristotle believed that true happiness comes from engaging in activities that are intrinsically valuable and that align with our highest human capacities, like reason and virtue. It's not just about feeling happy, but about being happy in a deep and meaningful way. So here's another question for you. Do you agree with Aristotle that happiness is more about living a virtuous and meaningful life than just experiencing pleasure? Can you think of examples in your own life where pursuing something challenging but meaningful brought you a deeper sense of satisfaction than a purely pleasurable experience? The idea of meaning and purpose is really key here. It suggests that happiness isn't a passive state of receiving good things. It's an active process of engaging with the world in a way that feels significant and purposeful. Now, what kind of activities make you feel like you're living a meaningful life? What gives you a sense of purpose? Take a moment to reflect on that. Next up, let's consider the philosophy of Stoicism. Now, the Stoics had a rather interesting take on happiness. They believed that true happiness comes from inner peace and freedom from negative emotions. They emphasized the importance of virtue, reason, and self-control. The Stoics recognized that we can't always control what happens to us. Things like illness, loss, or other people's actions are often outside our direct control. However, they believe that we can control our reactions to these events. For a Stoic, happiness isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing challenges with resilience and wisdom. It's about focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your values, and accepting what you cannot. Think about it. How much time and energy do we sometimes waste worrying about things we can't change? The Stoics would argue that this is a major obstacle to happiness. So here's a thought-provoking question for you. In our modern world, where we're constantly bombarded with messages about external success and material possessions, can the Stoic emphasis on inner peace and acceptance offer a valuable path to happiness? Can you think of a time when practicing acceptance or focusing on your own reactions helped you navigate a difficult situation with more peace and less stress? Well, think about it, my friends, and of course you can share your experiences in the comments. So, we've touched upon hedonism, eudaimonia, and stoicism. But the philosophical landscape of happiness is vast. There are other perspectives too. For instance, some philosophies emphasize the importance of self-realization, becoming the best version of yourself. Others focus on existentialism, where happiness might be seen as finding meaning in a seemingly meaningless universe through your own choices and actions. And let's not forget the importance of relationships in many philosophical views of a good life. So as you can see, philosophy offers a rich tapestry of ideas about what happiness is and how we might achieve it. It encourages us to think critically about our values, our goals, and the way we choose to live our lives. So which of these philosophical perspectives resonates most with you and why? Now, there's no right and wrong answers here. It's all about your own personal reflection and understanding. Well, my friends, that was just the very first part of our episode for today. Next, we're going to talk about the scientific perspective, the psychology of well-being. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Are you enjoying this episode so far? Unlock the full episode and dive into our entire back catalog, including all audio series and exclusive courses from English Plus Podcast. Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts or Patreon and take your learning to the next level. It's easy. Just click the link in the episode description. And don't miss out on all the amazing content waiting for you. I'll see you on the other side.